2024 NBA champion Boston Celtics. Because I have said that, even though, they missed Jimmy Butler in the first round and they didn't get to play, Jared Allen in the second round, and Donovan Mitchell missed a couple of games, and Tyrese Halliburton got hurt in the NBA Finals. I really thought Boston proved that's why they had the best record in the NBA all season. They dominated that NBA Finals against Dallas. And to me, I know a lot of people don't like Boston sports because they've won this many championships and their attitude, etc. I don't get that feeling with Tatum and Brown. Like, I didn't think this Celtics team was a villain team, but I kind of found myself towards the end rooting for them a little bit, just for Tatum and Brown to finally break through.
I mean, I'll agree with you that they weren't a villain team. I'll just say that the Boston fans are just spoiled to all heck. I mean, over a dozen championships this century alone. Share the wealth, people. But all that aside, I mean, they did a great job this year. They were obviously, like, as you said, like I'd say Golden State got far more breaks than the kind of breaks that the Celtics got, and the Celtics still had to go through a bit of a gauntlet, in my opinion. But they just went wire to wire for the most part, and don't really have much else to say on that other than they did a good job, and Jaylen Brown proved that he was worthy of that contract. I mean, Jason Tatum got his ring, and that core finally just got it all together after, what was it, 2 years ago now that they played the Warriors.
Yeah, and I was saying, ironically, and it's funny because I don't know Brad Stevens, but I sort of know him indirectly because he's the brother of a teacher that I had in elementary school.
That's right. I remember there's a Rocky River, I think, alum he's married to. So
yeah. So, and I've been saying for Brad Stevens, you can make the argument now in Boston, he's going to be known more for his executive career than he is in his coaching career. It's not like he was a bad coach, but he is the one that pulled the trigger on these moves for Drew Holiday, for Derek White, for Pritchard, for Porzingis. And, the East was down a little bit this year. We'll get into that a little bit later, but they just took advantage and did their thing.
It was, it's still shocking when you remember Ainge stepping down and then Stevens taking over, and it's like, what the heck's going on here? Like, this makes no sense. Why would Stevens go into the front office role? But hey, it worked. But still, you gotta give Ainge some credit. He did have a good part of this roster. Like, some of the core was already there in place when he was still there. But
yeah,
wow,
but
just
Brad
that is still
big moves.
That is, he did. I mean, it's still a shock to think that he goes from coach, and a really good one at that, to a championship winning front office exec. It's like, what the heck, man?
So I did say I do feel like the one negative to the Celtics winning this championship, that was such an analytically driven team, and they were so deep that they had 8-9 guys that could just shoot threes. And Joe Mazzulla, who deserves a lot of credit for this championship run, none of us knew how good of a coach he was going to be. And Joe Mazzulla's strategies pretty much won the Celtics this championship, especially in the finals with what they did to take out the other guys other than Luka. But I just think this team is so deep. They're so talented. They shoot so many threes. They won game 3 of the finals, making more threes than twos. And it's supposed to work in the regular season. It's not supposed to work in the postseason. And so I wonder if this is going to start becoming a copycat thing, because we know, like the NFL, the NBA is a copycat league.
Yeah, and honestly, as you said, it's only usually supposed to work like that in the regular season. And to do that over an entire postseason, that is extremely good luck, along with, some skill thrown in. But I think it's going to be more of a blip than a trend, to be honest, because 3-and-Ds are already just very hard to find on their own, especially high quality ones at that. So to be able to replicate this across the league, you're going to have a very good amount of luck, because I just don't see it becoming maybe there's a scaled down version of it, but not on the level that we saw.
Well, the one thing that was so crazy about this Boston team, and I kept saying it, it's why after game 2 of the finals, I said this series is over. Dallas is not getting back in the series, because Jason Tatum for the first 2 games is the reason why Jaylen Brown got the MVP over Tatum, even though Tatum had a better game 5 and arguably a better game 3, is because For the first two games, I think Tatum had 13 points maybe in each game, and it didn't matter because Boston would just blow you out because Porzingis gave you 20, and Holiday gave you 15, and Al Horford gave you 15, and Pritchard became their half-court specialist. I mean, what kind of team has a half-court specialist? That's how deep they are.
All right, you got me there on the half court specialist one. I don't have an answer for that.
I mean, so again, and the crazy thing is, we've seen Milwaukee this year, right? They move out Drew Holiday to try to get Damian Lillard because they're desperate to get Giannis back. That clearly didn't work. They fire the coach mid-season. They go with Doc Rivers. They're a freaking mess. I have no idea what they're doing. Philadelphia, don't get me started on them, or this may be a 2-hour podcast on me ranting about Joel Embiid because I've officially given up on the process and Joel Embiid. And Sean is laughing hysterically because he knows how much I used to love this Sixers team. They had it in 2019. Damn you, Kawhi Leonard. But anyway, that was the end of the Sixers. And so this year did feel like it's the Celtics year, where Dallas did have a harder road to get to the final. I don't know if they get back next year.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, the process, man. Rest in peace.
All right. Let's get into our Cleveland Cavaliers because you're a big Cavs fan. And I think Cavs fans are unrealistic about the Cavs. I think that many people think the Cavs are not that far off. You know how I felt about watching our team this postseason. It was the only team I could ever remember me rooting for, wanting to lose, because I knew the inevitable was going to happen. JB Bickerstaff was going to be fired. He deserved to be fired. There's no way that series against Orlando should have went 7 games, and yet it did because the Cavs were out physical and out toughed again. And you knew that, Donovan Mitchell basically said, we're not going to lose to Orlando, but you knew they weren't going to beat Boston. I don't care if Mitchell played or not. Might have extended the series to 6 or whatever, but we weren't going to beat Boston. So I think you need to make some grown-up moves. Again, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. I don't think Evan Mobley's a 5. I've been saying it. I think he's a 4. I think the one you got to move is Garland.
Yeah, and that's going to be the interesting move of the offseason because if you keep Mitchell, I mean, you obviously saw how he performed in that point guard role. And as much as I love Garland and just, remember that fun little tidbit, I guess, well, not fun, but little tidbit that when we were at Kent State, he tore his ACL there when he was playing at Vanderbilt. But I mean, Garland, you like the player, but if you can get someone that can help fill that 3-wing, I mean, that would be huge, but I mean, you got to see where things go. This is a critical offseason for the Cavaliers, and we'll see what Kobe Altman does. You still need to get the coach too, and that's going to be a whole nother discussion that we could launch into. And I don't have a favorite for the coaching position, man. I just want them to knock it out of the park, get it right. And, even if we don't win the finals next year, you at least show the progress that you need to make. That would be a successful season because you saw with these Celtics how long it took them to grow up.
So here's my question for you. What's progress? Because I don't think this team's a conference finals team yet.
I mean, getting there, that's part of it. Trying to get to the conference finals, or at least not having the kinds of lapses that you saw this season. Like, it just felt like it was just up and down. It was very hard. I don't know. And I want to throw this question out to your listeners as well. Did there ever at any point feel like it was just hard to get into the NBA this season? Maybe it was just a me thing. I was very much invested last season, but this season something felt just off for me, and it was much harder to stay in the game.
So ever since COVID, and maybe it's a COVID effect, maybe it's not, and we have talked about this a little bit, but not a ton. I have not watched the NBA regular season outside of the Cavs. I don't watch big games on TNT. I don't watch the ESPN Saturday night game, whatever national TV game is on, because to me, it doesn't matter. Even with the registration of the 65 games you got to play to win the MVP award, which is still a joke anyway. You know, it's like the players still don't matter. They don't take it seriously. And when you watch the first 5 minutes of an NBA playoff game compared to any regular season game. This includes the in-season tournament and the other, BS that the NBA has done that sort of beef up some regular season games. It is a completely different sport. And I watch a team, even a team like Denver, who broke my heart because I did have money on the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA title. I'm not denying it. Broke my heart in game 7 against the T-Wolves. When you watch a team like Denver, and then you watch a team like, Chicago or Toronto or, one of these lower teams, like it looks like they're on a different planet.
I mean, granted, I don't have anything. You hit it spot on the nose.
So I don't know what the NBA can do to beat up the regular season. I have proposed lowering the regular season amount of games, push it out. You start in December, maybe December 1st, maybe Christmas Day. You pretty much eliminate your NFL competition. The All-Star game is right before March Madness in March. It's not right after the Super Bowl. And then your playoffs are May, June, and July, not April, May, June. So you're not competing with the NFL draft. You're not competing with the schedule weeks. The only thing you're competing with is Major League Baseball that doesn't know how to market its stars.
Oh boy. I mean, there is some validity to that, but definitely, baseball, I feel like is going to be having a resurgence this decade. I'll just say that.
Ooh, well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but can I ask you this question?
All right, shoot.
It's the same. So obviously the Bucks and Suns, that championship was in July of 2021. That whole playoff took place in June and July. Was that not a fun summer to have NBA playoffs going along with baseball in the middle of the summer?
You know what? You have a point there. Yeah. It was kind of interesting, especially guys since you had to adjust so many things, given that we were just coming out of, just everything. I mean, oh my gosh, it just feels like so long ago now, yet it was still so recent. I mean, I still remember just even going in 2020 to those Guardians games when no one else was there and seeing all that action. And it, just to think that we're kind of back to the place that we were before COVID to some extent, it's mind blowing.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.